Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a deeply moving narrative from our source material that maps out something I think a lot of us can relate to: the hidden, totally visceral costs of upward mobility for middle-class families. We're really going to explore what it actually takes to push a family from one socioeconomic reality into another, and the silent, often painful architecture of sacrifice that builds that bridge. Today, we're looking at the exact mechanics of how one generation literally spends its own comfort to buy the next generation's future. Okay, let's dive right into this because this quote right here is the absolute core philosophy of what we're talking about today. This is a direct quote from a father named Rajesh to his son Aman, and it just perfectly frames the fundamental difference between how wealth is spent versus how scarcity is managed. In this story, every single rupee has a massive, undeniable weight to it. When you literally don't have enough to buy luxuries, your money goes towards something much more abstract, yet infinitely more valuable: hope. So, setting the stage, section 1, the burden of awareness. Picture this. Aman is growing up in a tiny two-room house right by the railway tracks in Durgapur. Now, he already possessed a surface-level awareness of his family's struggles. Our source text outlines exactly what that looked like day in and day out. His mother, Sunita, managed the household with extreme frugality. We're talking reusing plastic containers, meticulously stitching and restitching old clothes, and strictly analyzing the prices of vegetables at the market. Aman saw all of this, But as a kid, it was simply normalized background noise. It was awareness, sure, but not a deep, painful comprehension just yet. Then, the inciting incident of our story happens when this number enters the picture. Aman is a really bright 10th class student who has this huge dream of becoming an engineer, but he comes home one day and nervously has to ask his father for a 5,000 rupee fee for a coaching class. He knows it's a massive ask, but he needs it for his dream. But here is the stark, terrifying reality sitting inside his father Rajesh's wallet: exactly 500 rupees. The room goes completely silent when Aman asks for the money, because backing up those 500 rupees are pending electricity bills, pending house rent, and a gas cylinder that is almost totally empty. The gap between 500 rupees and 5,000 rupees, it might as well be a canyon. So how do they bridge that massive financial gap? Rajesh simply skips his lunches at work for days, and Sunita secretly sells the small gold earrings she received for her marriage. Aman sees this happening and becomes super emotional. But our sources highlight a really critical psychological shift that's about to happen. Right now, Aman just has this general awareness. He knows they are sacrificing, but that awareness is about to violently shift into a completely raw, visceral understanding. Which brings us to section 2. The catalyst in the coins. Now, what's really interesting about the events we're looking at next is the compounding, raw physical toll Rajesh endured. Fast forward to one specific, brutally rainy night. Rajesh comes home completely drenched from the rain. Why? Because he walked 4 whole kilometers just to save a tiny auto fare. And then, while still soaking wet, Aman spots his father sitting quietly in the house, carefully counting out literal coins just to be able to afford medicine for Sunita. This moment right here, watching his drenched father desperately count coins for his mother's medicine, is the ultimate catalyst. This is the exact pivotal turning point. According to the source material, it was in this very moment that Aman's perspective completely shifted. The abstract pain of middle-class families was no longer just his mom's stitching clothes or his dad's skipping a meal. It became agonizingly real. It was a raw, visceral understanding of the intense physical and emotional suffering his parents were silently enduring just to keep the family afloat. And that profound realization acted as an immediate, unbreakable motivator. The source notes that that very night, the night he saw the coins being counted, Aman began to study harder than he ever had before in his entire life. He recognized with absolute clarity that his academic success was the only escape hatch. It was literally the only way to transform his family's painful sacrifices into a secure future. Moving on to section 3, the investment of sacrifice. And this brilliantly illustrates how Aman's perspective completely reframed. Before, Aman might have looked at his father wearing the exact same torn shoes for 3 years and seen only deprivation, just poverty, a lack of money. But after the night of counting coins, he realized those torn shoes, the skipped lunches, the rainy walks, they were a deliberate investment. His parents were voluntarily enduring physical discomfort to buy his dreams. And guys, that deliberate investment pays incredible dividends. Let's walk through this timeline provided by the text. That rainy night triggers intense, laser-focused studying. Months later, those entrance exam results come in, and boom, Aman has secured a top rank. His parents weep. Their years of sacrifice are finally validated. Fast forward a few more years, and Aman secures a super high-paying job in Bangalore. So let's look at Section 4, redefining the meaning of success. Aman's first salary is 85,000 rupees a month. Think about that for a second. Compare that to the agonizing 5,000 rupee coaching fee that nearly broke his father years ago. But because of the visceral understanding he gained that night with the coins, this 85,000 rupees isn't just a personal milestone for Aman. It's not about buying himself fancy things. It represents necessary redemption for his parents' years of quiet suffering. When Aman travels back home, carrying gifts for everyone, he stops outside a small shoe shop. The narrative brings us totally full circle right here. He remembers his father's torn shoes, the exact same shoes Rajesh had worn for 3 consecutive years, just to save a few rupees for his son's future. Aman walks in and buys the absolute best, highest quality pair of shoes in the entire shop. When Aman hands these new shoes to his father, Rajesh just smiles softly and delivers this line. "My old shoes were still fine." Wow, I mean, it is such a beautifully heartbreaking reaction. It perfectly demonstrates the enduring, almost unbreakable nature of a middle-class parent's sacrificial mindset. Even when the financial struggle is completely over, that instinct to deny oneself comfort just remains. But Aman holds his father's hands tightly and responds with this. "No, Papa, they carried my future long enough." Let that sink in for a moment. By saying this, Aman is directly acknowledging that his current, lucrative career was entirely built upon the very physical deprivations he witnessed on that rainy night. It is the ultimate, profound validation of Rajesh's sacrifice. As the source material wraps up, it summarizes the core truth of these families. It's an entire architecture built on hiding pain behind reassuring smiles. It's about voluntarily sacrificing your own basic comfort for your children. It is literally spending your whole life building a future that you yourself may never actually get to enjoy. And yet, through all the skipped meals, the sold jewelry, and the long walks in the freezing rain, they never, ever stop loving. So as we wrap up today's explainer, I want to turn the lens back to you. We've seen how a single moment of counting coins illuminated a lifetime of sacrifice for Aman. So I ask you, in your own life, whose torn shoes carried your future? Who sacrificed their comfort to build the foundation of where you stand today? It's a really powerful thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining me as we unpacked this incredible story. Keep learning.